Welcome to Part 1, Factoring. Our answer should be two numbers, x equals blank and blank. How we get there is to factor our trinomial. We're looking for two things that multiply to give us this number, and then two numbers that multiply to give us this number, but add and subtract to give us that one. So how do I multiply to get x squared? That would be x times x. Then I'm going to look to this sign right here. It's a negative. What is the only way to get a negative when multiplying? Is have one sign be positive and the other sign be negative. Now I'm going to create a factor tree for the number 48. 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, 6 times 8. And I ask myself, which one of those, when I add or subtract, will give me my middle number? My middle number is a 2. Well, 1 and 48 is too big, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, so it has to be 6 and 8. I go back to my middle term, and it says it's a negative, which means I need to have more negatives than I do positive. 8 is bigger than 6, so 8 needs to be our negative, 6 needs to be our positive. Then we come down and we set it equal to 0. How do I get rid of a plus 6? I subtract it from both sides, and x equals negative 6. How do I get rid of a negative 8? I add it to both sides, and x equals positive 8. Now you can also look at this and say, okay, the opposite of a plus 6 is a minus 6, and that's my answer. The opposite of a negative 8 is a positive 8, and that's my answer there. You do not need to show the work on those if you understand it in that capacity. Let's look at number 2. Same thing. You're going to break it apart to where it looks like this. You're going to realize that this is always going to be whatever the first letter is. How do I get a positive when multiplying? A negative times a negative, or a positive times a positive? Because my middle number is negative, they're both going to be negative. Because a positive plus a positive would make that positive, but a negative plus a negative keeps that at negative. I factor the number 8, so 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Which ones of those, when you add together, will give you 6? 2 and 4. And then you're going to take the opposite. What's the opposite of a negative 4? A positive 4. Opposite of a negative 2? A positive 2. And this is your answer. We're going to do one more, and then I'm going to let you work on the rest. Again, start with drawing the parentheses. My letter is n, and n times n will give me n squared. This is a positive, and that is a negative. So I know both signs must be negative. Factors of 28 include 1 and 28, 2 and 14. 3 is not a factor, but 4 and 7 are. And that is it. Which ones of these, when you add, will give you 11? 4 and 7. So n equals the opposite of negative 4 is a positive 4. The opposite of negative 7 is a positive 7. And I'm done. Please utilize this time to finish the page.